Oh my gosh, fantastic. You have completed a week on Feel Worthy. This is so big. And now we're going to do the rest and review. We're not going to kick any more warp gates on, but we're going to mine some more gold from this week that you've just done. And this is amazing because worthy, oh, that can cause such pain, and it can cause such, I mean, it's such an inversion of the beingness. Like if your beingness of like a higher power put you here, right? So you're worthy to be here, and there's no one on this planet, no physical being that can counter that. That vote is against the higher power that puts you here. None, right? So, but when we have that inversion of it, of like we don't feel worthy, we will go to such lengths to sabotage ourselves. So getting some freedom of that, especially like just that, even having on a fundamental level that it's safe to feel worthy. Because it's like that analogy of like, you don't want to get the goal and then jump off a cliff. You know, you feel worthy, now you got to jump off a cliff. That's no fun. Unconscious won't let you do that, or will do its best to stop you from doing that to where, oh, now I feel worthy and I've got to jump off a cliff. No, we got to clear that up. So you've worked on that. You've done a fantastic job. We're just going to go back and mine it. So we started on day one, you know, safe to feel worthy, where we feel we did be worthy, and that's the beingness, and that's normally an easier one to get. Be like, oh, well, yeah, our being can be worthy. That's fine. But, oh, I'm not allowed to feel it. I'm not allowed to feel worthy. So now we start approaching, okay, it's safe to feel worthy. And what were all the chains from mom and dad around that? And I was day one. What was like that? What was that like? How did that go? Of like clearing that up, first kicking off the warp gate and feeling it. And maybe it was like immediate slow down, you know, where it got really woozy. And you're like, whoa, what is that, right? Just slow that down. But then what also happened the next 4 to 12 hours? What was your experience there? I mean, maybe there's a lot of worthy that got challenged, right? And you didn't have the best of days, right? But realize that's leaving, right? And we're able to see that looking back now. Maybe you can see it, which is great. That really communicates to your unconscious that you're getting it. But notice in that moment, what was it like? It was like, oh yeah, man, I held on to stuff that was going. It was trash that was leaving, right? So you might have had the awareness of it, but doesn't mean that's what you were dealing with. That's actually what you were throwing out. So it's a good thing. It's good. Just realize it now, or you realize in the moment, you're like, ooh, doesn't mean it wouldn't have been intense. It still can be intense. This is heavy duty energy work. It still could be intense, but it's good to have that conscious awareness of knowing which direction it's going, and not to like kind of grab it and pull it back in, you know, be like, oh yeah, I really do this. Because then it's going to be the letting it go again. And you don't want to grab it again, right? It's like, no, just let it go. And just realize, okay, a lot's leaving. We're doing, you know, worthy, safe to feel worthy, mom and dad. Oh, wow, I had a lot hooked up. No problem. So now we're going to go to day two. Day two, we did it to our grandparents on our mother's side. How was that? You know, how did it feel on that when you kicked it off? And then also, how did the day go? You know, compared to mom and dad. And it's not like mom, dad went this way, grandparents are supposed to go this way. It's always been this. No, it's like whatever it was is fine. It's just us being in the awareness of like what showed up and how did we respond? Did we slow it down if we needed to? Or was it just easy peasy? It's like, oh man, so much showed up in my life. And like all of a sudden there's just a new me that occurred of like, I just felt free, right? Fantastic. You know, it's just what happened that day. We're just mining it, you know, and what are some possibly new realizations, new conversations that we had or didn't see them the way we had them, you know, where we had the conversation, we thought nothing of it, but then when we look back, we're like, oh my gosh, I was talking in a whole new way. I was feeling in a whole different way. It was like a whole new me was showing up. You know, it's like, how cool is that? Just realizing that. Okay, so then day three, it was grandparents on our father's side. You know, we cleared, you know, safe to feel worthy. Feel worthy. How did that go? How did it kick off? You know, how did it start? And then the 4 to 12 hours, how did those 4 to 12 hours go? You know, what was some possible new realizations that occurred? You know, what did it feel like? Did we slow the warp gate down? Did we have any pivots in our lives? You know, do we have stuff show up where we're like, wow, I was really taking that and now it's bothering me, right? But that's a good thing. Because before it didn't bother you, so it was just kept playing, right? But now it bothered me. It's like, hey, that dynamic, ooh, I don't really like that. I can now start making a change, which is fantastic. And then day 4, we did siblings, which is another big one. It's always going to be a big one, even if it's only child, because that's a whole dynamic with that too. You know, it's like, how did that go? You kicked off the only child, you kicked off the siblings. How did that go? You know, did new people that were like sisters or like brothers show up? Did that happen? And it's just that communication with your unconscious. You're building it. You're doing massive energy work. And then day 5, it's always a big day because it's your non-biological parents. So it's people that show up as parents on worthy. Oh my gosh, big, big, big. And like had that go on the kickoff, and then the 4 to 12 hours, but then also the self-referencing energetic chains. Oh my gosh, that and worthy, huge, because it's all the stuff you pick up and you lock in the place that you then can control. Even though you have other people maybe switching up the chains, they want to chain more, they want to chain less, whichever, but you got your self-referencing chains, which you can kind of keep it together of like, I'm going to stay stuck. So obviously releasing those, breaking those is just fantastic, and a big potential for change, and a big potential to get those changes that are kind of put in place on the previous day. So you could have more of an acceleration even on that day, because it was almost like building pressure. When we cleared on mom, cleared on the grandparents, cleared on the siblings, but we were still holding on to like, but we know how it is. And then we cleared our own. And then it could be like all of them fled forward, right? So how was that day? And then we jump into our meditation day where we did them all. Oh my God, we just did the whole week again, all in one compressed time in a day. And how'd that go? And if it was too intense, he's like, did you back it off? Because you can just back it off, be like, hey, run at 1/10 power, or just run one of them. Just do one group, wait a couple hours, maybe do another group, wait a couple hours, do another group, or even do one that day, and then maybe the next day, which is kind of today. So maybe we'll take a break, and then just do it at the speed where you feel it, but it's not overwhelming. Because you don't need it to be intense and like, oh, like that, because your unconscious is doing way more than that. And the key is to like have a sense of ease, have first a sense that you notice it, it's happening, it's moving, right? And then let your unconscious go fast with it and build that to where you come back and do it again. Because that's the thing that kicks it off of like, we get that 4 to 12 hours, but if the next day we don't kick it off, we don't get the 4 to 12 hours. So it's the key is to not have it be too intense. So we come back the next day and say, hey, I'm gonna kick off some more warp gates, right? And then we come back the next day, I'm gonna kick off some more warp gates, because we get that super leveraged where your unconscious is working really, really fast to heal stuff. While you still get to go about your day, right? So you're not like locked down for all day just doing energy work. You're still moving along with your day, being aware of like changing that's happening, but your unconscious is going fast. That's why coming back, not making it painful, and coming back each day is super important. And this like rest and review is really good at seeing, okay, how did that work? How well, like how is that communication going? So hopefully like this rest and review, you're doing fantastic. You're one more week away from completing this course, but you can always go back to previous weeks, keep running it deeper. But until we talk again, have a blessed day or a blessed night.